All right, everybody. Welcome to the Red Door Property Management Podcast. We are changing things up, as you know. In fact, we got a lot of new segments we're going to add here today. But before we get into it, let me introduce Mike Taylor, broker owner of Red Door Property Management. How's it going, Mike?
Really good, Chris. How you doing?
I'm doing really good today. I'm doing really good. I got all the windows open. I'm for sure you're going to hear some people mowing the grass, maybe a couple birds chirping, but you're going to
Nice
have to deal with
outside,
it.
man.
It's beautiful. I freaking love it. So we're going to leave that the way it is. Hopefully the mic is working well. Welcome to the show. And without further ado, let's sit back, let's get started, and let's chit chat. Let's get into this week's question of the week. All right, let's dig into this. This is a big one, and I really had to spend some time thinking about this one because I wasn't sure how I was going to present it. I don't want to give the competition a leg up, I guess, but I wasn't sure how to present, but I really want your honest feedback as we go along. Okay, here it is. Let me start with, here's what I was dealing with, and then I'll go into the question and how I think it should be structured in a way to reveal what it is the customer is trying to expose when they ask the question. So what I dealt with this last week was an owner. She was great. This was a completely new experience that she was about to get into. Anything real estate, renting out her current home while she moved to another state. She was admittedly very nervous about even considering it. Who she talked to right before I got her on the phone was a company that was not local, pretty well known for their marketing here recently, at least coming across my algorithms, but is a company that offered 4% as a monthly management fee, but was not local. Okay. They didn't have any of those services. And in addition to that, what they did have was, and let me look at some of my notes here, is some of the guarantees that they offered. They offered, if a tenant doesn't pay their rent, they will, up to 3 months, they will ensure that this owner gets their agreed monthly rent payment on the first for at least 3 months. So, in other words, if that tenant stops paying their rent for up to 3 months, they're going to cover it. After that, they're going to have to explore other options. And then, in addition to that, if an eviction is ever necessary, they will cover up to $5,000 of anything related to that eviction. Okay, so that is what she was dealing with. She wasn't moving to another state. She was going to remain local. So that is important to the story because she was willing, in order to keep some of the costs down, she was willing to organize any maintenance and do anything that was going to be related to where the value of having the boots on the ground was really going to cover. So let me start with that, Mike. And here's the question that I'm ultimately wanting to get to is one of the most common questions. In fact, based on some research, the most common question that is searched is, how much does a property management company charge? Or in other words, how much does property management cost in Indianapolis? That is one of the most searched up terms ever when in relation to property management. So here's what we want to focus on. Focusing on only the fee itself can lead to misleading the real cost, the services that aren't actually included. And that's what I want to dig into. Mike, give me your initial thoughts on just the overlay there.
I would like to see the fine print because that just does not make sense. 4%, and then you're going to cover $5,000 of an eviction and then 3 months of rent. I mean, that as a business owner, that just doesn't make sense. So there's got to be some fine print that we are not hearing about. We are missing something. Something is...
That's so funny.
It's like, if it's too good to be true, then it probably is. That's my initial reaction.
That's so funny. That's exactly that to a T. That was my exact reaction. Is I would be sure, and this is exactly what I told her, and I wanted to assist her more than I wanted to, and earning her business would be a plus, but I wanted to assist her. I was like, you've got to make sure you dig into that fine print. Are there any stipulations that the property would have to meet in order to qualify? Because what you don't want to happen is that first rent payment to be missed, and then to come back and be like, oh, well, your rent wasn't set at $2,000 a month, so it didn't meet those qualifications. Right. So dig into that fine print, insist on the fine print. But here are some other points that I wanted to mention here in this discussion. So The average fees in the Indianapolis market is typically a monthly management fee is anywhere from 8 to 10% from a well-established property management company. Now, you are going to be able to find these one-offs, these realtors who do it on the side who might charge a little bit less than that because they don't have any of the expenses set up. And we'll get into some of that here in just a minute. But the leasing fees average anywhere from 50 to 100% of 1 month's rent. I find that it's closer to the 100% of 1 month's rent for the well-established companies. I mean, I've been working with Red Door for almost 15 years now, and so I know who the good players are.
Mm-hmm.
And those good players, honestly, are charging 100%. In fact, there's been so many times I've come to you and been like, wanted to be like, you know what? I think we need to increase our leasing fee to 100% so that people are observing us as one of those top players. In fact, we give people a break because ours is only $8.95 that comes out of the first month's rent, no matter what your rent is set at. So let me read these and then I'll let you chime in on some of these. Lease renewal fees, they vary anywhere from $100 to $400 on average. And then a lot of companies also have setup fees, which we do not. I'm sure anyone who's watching this already knows that. But a lot of management companies, and this company that I was referring to, they did have setup fees that were going to be in addition to anything that I previously mentioned. They're going to have maintenance coordination fees, which is pretty much standard these days. A lot of companies are going to have some type of a maintenance coordination fee or tacking on an additional percentage to the maintenance charge itself. So these are going to differ based on property type, number of units, and of course the level of service. So give me a highlight on fee structure and things like that. Anything to add to any of that?
I think you just got to make sure that you don't get persuaded, distracted, misled, maybe I think is maybe the right word I'm looking for, by one number that some companies trying to put in lights, like 4%. You got to look at the entire fee structure. Well, it could be 4%, but then they have a $3,000 leasing fee or something crazy. I mean, I have no idea what company it is or what you're talking about, but you know what I mean? You have to look at the entire picture and the entire structure. Like, hey, what is property management going to cost me over the course of a year to get a home leased, to get it renewed, to coordinate the maintenance? Just make sure that you're comparing apples to apples and looking at the entire fee structure, not just one fee that you're focused on, whether that's a leasing fee or lease renewal fee or a management fee. Don't get stuck on one fee. Look at the entire fee structure.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm glad you asked. This works out perfectly because you take me into the second part of this, is because the lower fee isn't always the better deal. In fact, so as I was putting together some notes for this discussion, I was listing out and things came to light. I wish I would have had this in my hands when I had the discussion with her at the time. But these are, when you're comparing those companies, apples to apples, exactly. You nailed it. And this is exactly how those companies are getting away with charging 4%, which honestly, let me share my own personal opinion here. If I'm putting one of my largest assets with a company and I'm walking away from it, certainly if I'm walking out of state, is I have to know that you have someone local. Yep. Like if there's a major leak, I have to know that you're going to be able to send someone out there to give me photos and not just rely on calling someone in the yellow book, an HVAC company or plumbing company out of the yellow book and hoping that they're going to achieve what it is that's necessary in order to properly document what's happening at your property. So having boots on the ground for one of your largest assets, to me, is so important. It's so important. So that number one. Okay. So how these companies and things that you need to dig into when you're comparing one of those type of companies with a boots on the ground type property management company, it's those companies are often offering what's called an a la carte type essential services. So they are probably going to charge additional fees for tenant screening. This is all in addition to whatever percentage on the month that they're going to be charging. So tenant screening charges, lease preparation charges, inspection charges, which I don't know how they're going to complete an inspection because they're not local. And if you're not having an inspection completed, that's bonkers. That's crazy to me. And maintenance follow-up charges. So there are going to very, very likely be numerous additional charges that are going to pertain to them overseeing your property that aren't going to be disclosed or captured in the 4% for what this company was actually offering. And what can this lead to? So having these additional charges or having a company like that manage your property can lead to lower tenant quality, more property turnover, of course, and deferred maintenance becoming expensive repairs. Deferred maintenance. If you didn't catch that in our last podcast, you've got to go back and see it. We talked all about maintenance and why it's important to handle the maintenance and how that directly reflects your tenant retention. So you've got to go back and check that out. But this bleeds, one bleeds into the other, right? So those are things that you've got to be looking into aside from just asking the question, how much does a property management company charge in the city of Indianapolis? You've got to be digging in deeper to those details.
Yep.
What are the other charges? Anything to say on that? And then I will give you the one-liner question to ask going forward. Mike, anything to add to that?
Yeah, no, it's like you've kind of already hit it, but like, what are you getting for that fee that you're paying for? How many employees do you have per property that you manage? Do you have an in-house maintenance team? All of these questions are really, really important. If you're hiring somebody who's going to be at 4%, I'm going to pretty much bet everything I have that they probably don't have people here. They're probably, they're just like a national call center and they just deal everything from one central location. So, the importance of having this local boots on the ground, local knowledge, like we're trying to disseminate here on the podcast is so, so important. Knowing just the local different areas, knowing that Westfield is different than Noblesville, which is different than Indianapolis, which are different parts of Indianapolis are different. So knowing the pricing structure, how to do all that is so, so, so important. And I mean, if literally, like you said, this is a lot of times one of people's biggest assets. It could be a 2, 3, 4, 500. I mean, we manage homes up to $1 million. And if you're going to be concerned over saving 50 or $60 a month, I mean, in my opinion, that's a little bit short-sighted. I would be focused more on the quality of what you're getting versus, saving a couple bucks a month, trying to find the cheapest provider.
Yeah, bingo. Exactly. For all the reasons we just quickly discussed. So here it is. The real question that you should be asking. Here it is. And I typed this out, so it's absolutely perfect. Here we go. What's actually included in your management fee and what's going to be an added charge down the road? So what's actually included in your management fee and what's going to be an added charge down the road? Do you charge anything extra for any of these additional services like tenant screening, lease preparation, inspections, anything like that? Those are the nitty-gritty details that you need to be digging into. And in my opinion, insist on having boots on the ground if at all possible. Now, if you have some experience in handling maintenance or performing your own inspections, maybe it's a better idea for the former, but you better have some pretty good qualifications in both of those areas if you don't have somebody who's experienced that you're going to hire. Let me talk for just a minute about what Red Door includes that others don't. So this is something that is going to include having somebody's boots on the ground and things that are included in a little bit higher, which ours is 9% on a monthly management fee. But these are things that are going to be included when you're working with Red Door. Professional marketing, so virtual walkthroughs, in-house leasing coordination, 24/7 maintenance line, which is absolutely essential in my opinion. That's probably the number one concern that owners have when they're managing a rental property, even if they've done it for several years. The reason they want to hand it off to someone else is they're sick of handling those 1 a.m. Plumbing leak issues. They don't want to answer the phone for that anymore and try to find and coordinate a maintenance repair. So 24/7 maintenance line coordination, transparent owner portal and reporting, which is absolutely amazing these days, including real-time tenant ledgers, all of your reporting statements that you can literally pull on your own anytime you're in need, preemptive rent pricing strategies, and hands-on lease renewal process with rent increases when they're appropriate. So that includes running a rental analysis on an annual basis to determine if the market would allow a potential rent increase, and then negotiating those terms with your tenant. So these are things that you are very, very likely going to pay in addition to your 4% or whatever it may be for one of these non-boots on the ground type offsite management. Go ahead, Mike.
I got a couple to add, Chris. What about professional marketing photos? So important. All of our homes get professional marketing photos. I see some of these photos out there. They're like done with an iPhone or,
yes.
Oh my God, they're terrible. So all of our homes get professional marketing photos. We do video walkthrough, move-ins and move-outs. We share those with the owners just in full transparency. We do video walkthrough inspections. Again, we share those with the owners. So many property managers out there either don't do inspections or just, oh yeah, I do them, but there's no accountability. Excuse me, accountability. We literally physically walk you through it and share it with you. We upload it to YouTube and then share the link with our owners. So just try to be as transparent as possible. So also in-depth tenant screening. That has been a huge thing for us this year. I mean, the fraudsters are out there in full effect. We can see fake IDs, we see fake pay stubs, we see fake social security cards. So our team and our technology has really ramped up over the last couple of years to try to catch all of these things. So just a couple more to add.
Yeah, I mean, there's so much more things to add, and we're going to save a lot of those as we dig into deeper questions as this podcast continues. So stay tuned for more of these type of questions and how you can dig into them. And when we get into Meet the Team segment, we're going to dig deeper into what happens behind the scenes, the things that you don't even know, because you're asking these surface level questions. You have no idea what actually happens behind the scenes. So I could go on and on, but that's going to wrap up this segment. Be sure that you're asking the right questions when you're exploring property management companies here in the Indianapolis area. That's just one area that's going to hopefully save you some headaches down the road.